Especially for INEC, because you said in your submissions that we need to get to that point where implementation becomes the order of the day with all these amendments that are made. But how do you see INEC playing a really cardinal role in this with these new amendments? It is in favor of INEC to start with.
Yes, it is in favor of INEC, but I think the bane of Nigerian society is employing incompetent people. That's number one. The second aspect is compromised people. So if INEC looks at its staff and be sure that the staff are competent, that's the first step. So that it's not a question of, because most times it's not an issue really of compromise. If you have competent staff, it means that once there are problems, those people can take the right decisions. Not just the chairman being competent or the electoral commissioners being competent, but it is a question of the entire staff. So if they are competent, this is going to help them, this is going to assist them in their way. Then you now look at the other issue of whether it's being compromised. But competence is key. And I urge them to look at their staff, train them possibly, and be sure, because if you train somebody who is not competent, you're wasting your time. But sieve them and be sure they can do this work. And when they're getting ad hoc staff, the same thing. Let them get ad hoc staff who can do the job. And I expect them by January, if election is February, by December or by November, they should start getting the ad hoc staff. And if they have 120,000 booths, they should be able to, by now, engage kind of 200,000 people, on a temporary basis to start training and know those that will do the work.
Even though they say that funding is key and they're not getting the funds as quickly as they want.
No, they are getting the funds. Remember that even the new funding that is being approved is for other things. Not that they didn't get funding from the budget, ab initio. They are saying we want more money. They already have some money. Now the key is, are they releasing the money as and when due? The Ministry of Finance. So if they release the money, it's also very good for them so that they can commence the necessary things they should do. And that's also an area where if we are looking at consolidated funds of the Federation, I think INEC should be put on that light so that the way money goes to the judiciary, that's the way money should also, when you say consolidated fund, it means money, from source goes to INEC for them to carry out their job. So that nobody will say, oh, money was released late, and then it becomes an issue where they can no longer plan for what they want to do. So I suggest that's also a very important thing.
And especially when you look at how much INEC wants to spend on security for the police, basically, just over about 100 million. That's what they want to spend. Some people have questioned that, say that why spend so much for, number one, the security, and number two, for foreign observers?
I don't know why INEC would want to spend for foreign observers, because foreign observers, to the best of my knowledge, I have been foreign observer. To the best of my knowledge, when we went to do some foreign observation, we came with our money. So I don't know why INEC even put foreign observers. That's if he's there. I've not looked at the details, whether foreign observer is there. Now, for the issue of police, ordinarily the money should have gone to the leadership of the police, direct from the budget, not through INEC. But because of the problems we have, INEC will say, okay, let's do it. And don't forget the fact that the security agencies, most times, they come in, they don't have a place to stay, there is no vehicle, there is no allowance for them to eat. So whatever budget is made for them and then is going to be disbursed through INEC, it is also good so that INEC can have a little control over the security agencies. What I mean by a little, because ordinarily, every person working on election matters should be under the control of INEC. Apart from the observers who are supposed to be independent, every other person working with INEC should be under the control of INEC. So if INEC will give them money, it's also part of the issue of taking charge and taking control of it. So I am happy that it's being done, but that the money should be released. Also, their training. INEC should also take charge of relatively their training too, not giving it to the police.
Okay,
force.
let's look at this retained proposal. If after the commencement of polls and before declaration of a candidate, a nominated candidate dies, the Chief Electoral Commissioner shall, being satisfied of the fact of the death, countermand the poll in which the deceased candidate was to participate, and the Commission shall appoint some other convenient date for the election within 14 days. We saw this kind of scenario play out in Kogi State, I think, at some point, yes. With Prince Audu.
Yes.
But how does this come into effect with this amendment now? Does it settle that issue of the death of a candidate?
Yeah, yes, I think it settles it because that time there was a confusion. And what the Electoral Act is also looking at, or what the Electoral Bill is looking at, is so that it won't be, if you say the runner-up may not be the person the people want. And that is why they say the parties will also go back to conduct primaries and bring out a person by the party, not saying the person that came second or saying that the running mates. You know, there are several considerations for having running mates and for having candidates. So 14 days is a good time. Within 5 days, the party should be able to do their own and present to INEC. INEC, screens the person and presents the person within 14 days. There is a date.
Well, what of the conflict between INEC and then party? Party wants to present someone else, and then INEC is saying, no, you have to go through the process, and the next person, or maybe the second runner-up, should come in as the preferred candidate.
No, that is what this one has now cured. It has cured the issue of second person coming up. You know, because you know the politics of primaries. Somebody may be the next person the people want, not just the party. It is when you say primaries, it means the entire political party will be involved in choosing. Not that the chairman will choose or the National Working Committee will choose the person to represent the states. Take, for instance, if you're talking about like Kogi, for instance, and you see that the National Working Committee will say, oh, this is our candidate. They are choosing for that state, not the state itself choosing, you know, for itself. Perhaps, for instance, in the case of Kogi, if James had been the person that the people wanted, if Audu was not there, but they are choosing another person who they said came second, that may not be the real intention of the political party or the real intention of the people, because it's a question of what do the people want.
It's Chukwuma Ezeala, legal practitioner. We must thank you so much indeed for talking to us in Sunrise Daily. And we'll be back with another different focus. Join us again.